Hi guys, it's Honey and welcome back to a new video. Today we are continuing my Let's Paint Littlest Pet Shop series, but instead of making full-on customs like I usually do with this series, I'm going to be doing a bunch of small repaint repairs. I have a bunch of LPS in my collection that are chipped, damaged, missing paint, stained, you name it, and I often get pets like this because it's cheaper and I feel like I can just repaint them and repair them myself. Yes, it may devalue them a little because they're repainted, but they're in my collection and I don't plan to sell them, so I'm happy to repair these pets and kind of give them a new lease on life and more true to their original design. For this video, I am going to be focusing on smaller repairs in general. I think the biggest one is probably a tail replacement, but everything else are repairs, cleaning up the pets, small repaints, things like that. But if this video does well and you guys are interested, I do have other pets that are in horrendous conditions, like stained beyond belief, missing their heads, like really super bad condition that I also want to try and fix. So if that's something you guys are interested in, make sure to leave a like on this video and comment down below to let me know that you want to see more of this. But we're going to jump straight into this video. I'm going to show you guys what pets we're going to be repairing and what repairs that they actually need. So here's our pets. Ignore the headless body, we'll get there. So some of these pets are in much better condition than others. For example, this sitting short hair needs a slight nose repaint, and also it has some yellowing on the paws. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but I'm hoping it is just dirt that I can clean off and it's not stained, but we'll see once we get started on cleaning this little guy. This Saint Bernard has a bunch of chipping on the face, mainly on the nose and the white areas, as well as a little bit on the chest, so all of that needs repainting and resealing. There's also some chipping and damage on the paws at the back, so I'll probably work on repainting them as well. This German Shepherd I recently got has some really bad damage to the paws at the front, a lot of paint missing, as well as some red transfer from who knows what, but hopefully we can cover that up, repaint it, and make it look brand new. It also has a chip on its nose. I don't know when the hell that happened because I don't think it was there when I got it. I'm gonna have to rewatch the video now, but I don't remember that being there. This is one of my newer pets. I did a little unboxing as a short form video because it was just one LPS, but I got her for fairly cheap, and that's because she has a chipped nose, some paint transfer, and also some chipping on her front paws, so she needs a bit of a repaint, but nothing major, and because she is black and white, it should hopefully be pretty simple. This golden retriever is missing his tail, hence why I have a headless golden retriever body in the background. We're going to be doing a little tail transplant on this guy. I have this golden retriever body that I used for a different custom, which still has its tail intact, so we're going to be transplanting it from this body to this guy right here. This Angora Cat needs a little bit of a repaint on its nose, and it also has quite a bit of rust under the neck and also around the body. It also maybe has pink mold on the tail, but I'm not going to touch that in this video just because I want to do a whole video on pink mold. You guys have been requesting it, and I want to gather up a bunch of LPS that I think have the pink mold curse and try and fix it. So that'll be its own video, so I'm not going to deal with the tail in this video, but the rest of it we are. This horse just has a bunch of gunk on it, like on the ear, stuff I can probably clean off, so this one shouldn't actually be that difficult. You can see it on the chest and body as well. The only thing I am concerned about is because it's a white pet, it might be a little more difficult to get off, but we'll see. So the painting on its hair is quite sloppy, so I am going to be repainting this a little. This Walrus here really doesn't need a lot. He just needs a little eye repaint and some scuffs removed on his head, so he's just in here for a little bit, but I wanted to include him because I'm doing him at the same time. Lastly, this owl has some chipping on its mouth as well as some dirt on the eye and bow, so a slight repaint and a bit of a cleanup. So that's all the pets we're going to be repainting, repairing, and cleaning up in this video. video. Like I said, nothing super major. The biggest thing is that tail transplant. Everything else is mainly just a thorough cleaning, maybe a little bit of nail polish remover on more stubborn stains, and of course some repainting on specific parts, but nothing too over the top because I really want to see if you guys are interested in this or not, and then if you are, I will do some more larger projects, let's say. But now let's get on to the repairing process. I'm just going to go through each pet one by one. I'll leave some timestamps down below if you want to see the process for a specific pet, but let's get started. So first things first, we do need to clean the LPS. I use disinfectant wipes. A lot of people say to put your LPS in water and make Littlest Pet Shop soup, which can work, but I prefer disinfectant wipes because not only does it disinfect the pet, but it gets a lot of the minor scuffs and marks off without having to risk your pet getting water trapped in the head or rust in the neck. So that's why I opt for wipes. Also, a quick side note, the dirt on this horse's ear was actually blue tack, which was a nice surprise because less cleaning up for me to do. After the disinfectant wipes, I do go in with nail polish remover. Now, be careful when you're using this, you know, it is a toxic chemical, but I use Q-tips and I put the Q-tips in the nail polish remover and then just lightly rub on the marks that I want to remove from the pets. Now, when I'm using nail polish remover, I don't use a heavy hand. I am very light with my scrubbing and I try to avoid painted areas. So for example, on the pets that I'm removing the marks on now, I'm removing these marks on the plastic that is unpainted, if that makes sense. Because as soon as you put nail polish remover on a painted part, it gets a bit trickier and you could remove some of the factory paint along with the marks you're trying to remove. So you do have to be very careful when you're doing this. I do also use nail polish remover to get out a lot of rust. It works very well at breaking it down and removing it. And once I've used my nail polish remover to get off the more stubborn marks or to just make the marks a bit easier to paint over, I do give my pets a rinse in some water. This takes off any excess dirt and grime quickly, but it also mainly takes off the nail polish remover residue, which is definitely something we don't want on there when we're painting. Moving on, now that our pets are all nice and clean and had their stain treatments, it is time to start repainting them. I'm going to start with my Husky here because it's probably my favorite out of all these pets. I mainly wanted to focus on repainting the black parts of the pet because they were the most damaged with the chipping, but I also wanted to do a little repainting above the eye where I removed the stain because it also just looked a little murky and I wanted to patch that up a bit. The eyelashes as well on the right eye needed a little bit of patching up. Nothing major because they are so small, but that's something as well I wanted to focus on. So overall, it's mainly just a lot of black paint and a few little touch-ups of the white area above the right eye. Even though I'm starting with this Husky, like I mentioned, you can skip around if there's a specific pet you want to see. But all of these pets, I am using acrylic paint to patch them up, and they are all sealed with Mr. Super Clear Matte Varnish, if anyone's curious. The eyelashes I was definitely nervous about, but I am very happy with how they turned out in the end. And the patching up above the eye I was also nervous about because white paint can sometimes be a little patchy, but I managed to get it looking pretty solid, and overall in the end I was very happy with how this Husky turned out, and the repainting really made it look brand new, which is what I wanted. Our next two pets got very simple repaints, the first one being this Walrus. He just needed a little patch up on his eye. I did of course remove a paint transfer mark on his forehead earlier, but repaint wise, all he needed was a bit of black paint. I did mess up a little and have to clean it up with some water, but that was super simple, and then he was done. I know it's not a lot, but I still wanted to show you guys the small steps of these pets. Our third pet is the Shorthair Cat. I mixed together purple and pink paint to hopefully make a good color match. Let me know what you guys think. I think I matched the color pretty good, but she just needed a simple nose repaint, and I freaking love how she turned out. Moving on to our next pet, we have our owl, who mainly needed her beak repainted. The color I ended up mixing together, I believe, was slightly darker than her original beak color, but once I got to painting it, you couldn't notice that much, and I still think it turned out pretty solid overall. Next up was our walkable Saint Bernard. Now this pet was a little different because while the paint was chipped like most of the other pets, the chipping was a bit deeper, almost like little dents, so it did make things a little more difficult painting it, because no matter what, you could still see the dent in the pet, which didn't bother me, but I definitely wanted to build the paint up to make it less noticeable. Also, this pet is a completely different plastic, so I was a bit concerned that it wouldn't stick as well or look as natural, but thankfully the acrylic paint I used worked pretty much in perfect harmony with this pet, so I was very thankful for that. I feel like as well, because it is a different plastic, I could even be a bit more messier on the parts like the feet and the nose, because the paint just kind of flattened down into the little crevices a lot better. I don't know if this is a real thing, or maybe I'm just placebo affecting myself into thinking that, but I lathered on the paint of the nose pretty thick, but in the end it turned out really smooth. Again, I don't know if this is just me making up stuff in my own head, or maybe it's because it was dented, so the paint kind of filled in those dents, but I was really happy with how it turned out, and I didn't have to be so concerned about being super perfect with the painting on him, which was nice because a lot of the other pets I did have to be a lot more cautious. So even though I went into this Saint Bernard thinking that it might be a bit of a hassle with the plastic and the paint and the dents in him, surprisingly he was one of the easiest pets to paint. And I love this Saint Bernard's design. I'd love to get the other walkable Saint Bernard as well, the black one. And I just think it's such a beautifully unique pet that I was able to get for really cheap and restore him to pretty much brand new. He does need some new batteries, which I can work on, but paint job wise, I am super ecstatic with how he turned out. While the Saint Bernard was easy, this next pet, our black and white horse, proved to be one of the more challenging repaints, and that's because it just needed a lot of coats of paint, because it's mainly white. The black parts of this pet, like the hooves, tail, mane, were quite easy to work with, and I actually really enjoyed patching up the mane on the front of its head, kind of like evening out the lines. But the body especially was a long process. It wasn't difficult in the sense that it was hard for me to make it look good. It just required a lot of coats of white paint because it's white paint. It's very sheer and you definitely need to build it up, and I wanted the body to look as clean as it could without all these little black smudges all over it, and so it took quite a long time. This was the longest repaint out of all of them, and even though it did take a long time, it was definitely worth it in the end. I also put some extra white paint on the highlights in the mane because the original paint kind of is spray painted on almost, so it's a little sloppy, I guess, not like as crisp. But truth be told, I did mainly focus on the body when it came to painting. Yes, I did patch up the hooves, tail, and the mane like I said, but most of the painting came down to just making the body look a lot cleaner, and that was just a slow process. After the body was done, I did go in and touch up the hooves again, just because I had been a little sloppy with my white paint, but overall, it was definitely worth kind of making the commitment to all these layers of paint. I also cleaned up the pattern around the neck because my one actually wasn't that clean to begin with, so I just emphasized it a bit more, and overall the end product I was very, very happy with. But you already knew I had to do one more coat of white paint on the body. Next pet, Golden Retriever. This poor little guy needed a tail transplant after I received him with no tail. I had this spare body from a previous custom and thought it would be perfect because I'm not using it for anything right now. I grabbed my craft knife and started cutting away at the tail. If you're going to do something like this, please be careful. It is very easy to slip with craft knives. But once the tail was completely removed, I also whittled away at any little excess pieces of plastic till we were left with this. I then took some super glue to fill in the hole on his back. I used a toothpick to kind of fill it up more and poke it around to make sure it was all kind of one layer. And then I attached the tail. It was pretty straightforward, and I think it looks pretty good. He also needed a quick little nose repaint, which was pretty simple to do, and then he was done. My little paws apart cutie. Our next pet is the French Bulldog, who needed a little nose retouch. And by the way, I don't know why I keep calling him a German Shepherd. I know it's a French Bulldog. I'm not stupid, guys, I promise. Well, anyway, I painted the toe beans originally after the nose, and I was going to continue with painting the white around those toe beans, but I gave up on that pretty quickly and realized, hey, I just need to paint the white parts first because they're going to take the most coats and the most effort. So I focused on the front paws and also blending it into the belly because the belly kind of had a bit of a yellow tinge to it. I don't know if it was sun damage or aging or what it was, but the pure white that I was using on the paws didn't look as natural as the belly, so I kind of had to blend the colors together, and that really helped it flow a lot more naturally. I also painted the whole back paw white. Like I said, I was originally going to paint the toe beans and then go around them, but I thought it would just be easier to get a solid white base for the back paw and then go in with the smaller details of the toe beans. Most of this pet was building up the white, just like our black and white horse, but I also did go in afterwards and clean up the lines with black paint, mainly around the front paw. I tried to get it as close as I could to a actual paint job that Hasbro would do because I had to look up how the front paw of this pet was actually painted because it's a bit of an interesting pattern. I then went in with our toe beans at the end, which were probably my favorite part because it's so cute and I just love doing them with my little dotting tool. And he looks so much better now. I was definitely being very easy on the seller when I got this pet in my Etsy grab bag video, but looking at him now, repaired, this is how he should look. Like, the condition I got him in was so bad, so I'm really happy he looks a lot better now. Our final pet was our Angora Cat, who mainly just needed a little patch up here and there of white paint to just kind of get the body looking a bit better. He also needed a tiny little repaint on his nose with this kind of peachy orangey pink, and then he was finished. He's our last pet we needed to paint, so let's take a look at all of them now fully finished and sealed. Woo! Let's hear it for the finished, repainted, repaired, and resealed pets. Let me know what you guys think. I'm pretty proud of these pets. I'm not going to say they're perfect by any means, but for what I wanted, I'm happy with them. And I think I achieved my goals, like repairing the parts I wanted to repair, cleaning when they needed to be cleaned, and just making them look a lot nicer for me personally in my collection. Now, obviously, I'm happy with them, like I said, but I'd love to hear your guys' opinions as well. Like, what's your opinions on the paint jobs and everything like that? I'm really curious to see. And like I mentioned, if you want to see more of this type of thing, I have pets that are in way worse condition that I would really love to tackle the challenge of repairing. But yeah, let me know your opinions in the comments down below for each pet, and I'd love to hear what you guys think, because I'm a little nervous, but I think I did okay. Also, you might notice some of these pets lost a bit of their shine in their eyes, and that's because of the varnish I use. I could always re-gloss the eyes if I really wanted to, but I'm honestly not that fussed about it, so I'm just going to keep their eyes matte. Also, a side note about this husky, I also repainted the tips of its ears. I didn't show it in the video because I didn't even realize till I was finished painting her, but I also repainted them. It's our black and white horse. Oh my god, look at her come through 20 coats of white paint. Ooh, we love to see it. But I'm gonna let the rest of these pets kind of just play through so you guys can get a good look of their finished paints, and then I will talk to you guys at the end. So please enjoy the close-ups of our freshly repaired and repainted LPS. One thing I want to mention quickly is that our Saint Bernard still has dents in him. There's not much I could do about that unless I fill it in with something like resin or clay. So the dents are still visible in his plastic on his face, but the paint's been repaired and I truly don't mind at all, and I'm very happy with how he turned out specifically and how smooth the nose looks compared to where it started. I do need to replace the batteries, and maybe that can be another video, fixing all my walkables, but other than that, super happy with how he looks, even with a little dent here or there. I'm once again asking you to ignore the pink mold. It may be highlighter, but in the rare chance it is pink mold, I do not want to paint over it because I want to remove it from the pet. So that will definitely be a future video. I have a couple pets that have these pink mold possible spots on them, so please look forward to that in the future because I'm going to be trying to remove them and showing you guys the whole process. But his paint, other than that, turned out really great. And speaking of great paint, can we take a moment for our French Bulldog, because this guy, mwah, chef's kiss. This golden retriever is our last pet, and I quickly want to say that while I am happy with how the tail transplant turned out, I would like to eventually go in at a later date and just kind of make the transition look a bit smoother. From where you guys are looking, I feel like the tail looks fine, it does its job, it does what I want it to do, but I would like to go in and kind of sand down the glue a little bit just to make the transition between the tail and the body a bit more seamless. But he still looks great, and I am very happy with how he turned out either way. That's just something I want to change in the future. Ta-da! Here they all are finished. Look at that! So, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and watching the painting and repairing process of these pets, as well as a bit of an insight into how I clean them as well, because I usually do the cleaning process on pets even if they don't need repairing. I really enjoyed doing this video because I've been wanting to repaint all these pets, and like I said, I have a bunch more, so let me know if you want to see more of this. And yeah, look out for more pictures of these pets, more of these pets in videos, and just more videos in general. If you enjoyed, like always, please do not forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Until then, bye guys!